Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Jackie. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about how my job just about killed me. Um, I was very lucky. If you're new to this channel, let me just explain who I am. I am a 56-year-old woman who has worked in long-term care for 30, almost, be actually 38 years. I've taken a leave um, just just over a year now ago, and let me walk you through why it's so important, guys, to take yourself first. Um, us as women or even men, sometimes we take our job too seriously, and we don't realize the havoc it is playing on our system. Um, so I worked as a PSW for 32 years. I took my shoulder out and I got a slab 2 repair done in it. So I could never work as a PSW anymore. So I transitioned into management right during the early starts of COVID because our nursing manager quit. She couldn't take it and she quit. So they offered me the job. And I thought, you know what? I've worked here 32 years. I know all the ins and outs. I know the scheduling. I was a huge union activist for probably 30 years of my life. I thought, you know what? I think this would be good for me. Right. So the person who hired me at that point was a younger um, gentleman, and his mother is was the chief officer of our corporation. He was a he was a great guy to work for. He was similar to me, where straight to the point, get it done, no fuss, kind of thing. So he ended up telling me that he was leaving and a new person was going to take his position. Now, she was younger. Let's just put it that she reminded me all the time that I had worked there longer than she was actually alive, which I didn't know if that was a compliment or a stab at me at being pathetic that I haven't changed jobs in 35 years, right? So, of this girl, let me just put it this way, and I think one of my videos in earlier that I had posted talked about the millenniums, how they don't have a lot of respect for us older women, um, or even men. Sorry if I forgot you guys in that little thing. Um, you know, when I started my job, I looked up to the older people, and that doesn't happen anymore. So, to make a long story shorter, um, she fought with me because she knew I was smarter. She would come to me with how to fix things. Now, she is my boss. You would think that your boss should know how to run a facility, right? No. And she used to get very upset because when the Ministry of Health or the Ministry of Labor, especially the Ministry of Labor, because I was a labor activist for um, most of my existence in that place, would actually come and ask for me because they knew that I knew the policies. They knew I know exactly what they wanted and how it needed to be done. She used to get really upset with me about that. But I was really good at my job. I was a hiring, I was a scheduler, I also worked in IPAC. Um, I fired people, I took care of attendance, I did all the master schedules, I took care of everybody's pays. I was good at my job. I That place ran smooth. But I didn't realize the stress of working with somebody that this girl could not tell the truth if her life depended on it. She would She would never take accountability for any mistake that was made. It was always somebody else's mistake. So, couple years went by, and then we got a director of care who was probably going to be would have been one of the best directors of care that we ever had. And let me tell you, being there for 37 years, I've seen a lot of directors. And but she was an older woman. She's older than me. I'm 56. She, I believe, is now 60 years old. My boss wasn't the one who hired her. It was corporate who had hired her, and she did not like her. She was a European girl, and she was older. So what would happen in our morning meetings was um, she would belittle this manager in front of all the other managers. I never got touched from her because she knew I knew my job. And she knew that head office at that point had a lot of respect for me because I had been there a long time. So, needless to say, we had to do some different variance reports. And guys, I take a lot of pride. I'm a numbers person. I can calculate things in my brain like a calculator. So, this variance report that I was getting was supposed to do, I had no problems with doing it. It was a different type of report, but something wasn't working right. And I kept saying to her, I can't do the variance. I can't do it. She's like, you just don't want to do it because it's different. Because, your people your age have a tendency not to like change. And I said, darling, it's not that I don't want change. Everybody is scared of change. Something's not right here. It's not working. Fighting with her, fighting with her, fighting with my office manager because she said, well, Jack, it's all working out fine. It's just you just don't want to do it. Needless to say, I had a huge blow up and I went back to my office and I sat with another manager who was also 5 years older than me that had worked there for 42 years. And she said, are you all right? And I said, no. And all of a sudden, it felt like something hit me right in the head. And my heart um, felt weird. I felt funny. And I said to my friend, my other manager, can you go get the DOC? So she came and got the DOC. I called my husband. I knew something wasn't right. Now, let me give you a little bit of family history of me, guys. Both of my parents were dead by 60 with heart issues. So, and the other thing I wanted to note to you guys is when I became a manager, becoming a manager, I packed on 60 pounds, the stress. Um, Plus, I was not as mobile when I was working on the unit. So I knew something wasn't right. I went to the doctors, I went to the hospital, and I was diagnosed with PVCs. I was at a very high rate, it was 12%, and they put me on some medication, and then they wanted me to go for an ablation. Now, I am a freak when it comes to surgeries, I'm terrified of them. They scare the hell out of me. So I kept postponing and postponing. And the stress kept getting worse and worse at work. So then I had taken 3 months off to just try to get my heart calmed down a little bit. And when I got back, the girl who took over my job for the 3 months, she was helping me do the variance because I figured I needed a day of orientation to get back into the swing of things. And I said to her, it's not friggin' working. She was a younger girl too. And she's like, Jack, you got to just listen. You got to do it. You're not doing it right. So I kind of threw her my laptop. And when she opened up my laptop and went to the reports, she looked puzzled. And she said, guys, something's not right here. I said, oh, finally, somebody's listening to me. So she took my laptop to my boss and she took my laptop to the office manager. And at that point, they realized that whole month prior to me getting sick, I was telling them something wasn't right with my system. Oh, I was right. So they downloaded the wrong program in my computer to do the reports. So I said to them, you guys almost killed me with my heart. When I tell you something's not right, you got to listen to me. I know the numbers. I know how to do the budget. I know all that. So, needless to say, the arguing with my boss over stupid things, you know, I didn't think I was stressed. My heart issue kept getting worse and worse and worse. My medication kept going higher and higher and higher. So then finally, I did a complaint, and this was my biggest mistake. Don't ever let your boss know that you're smarter than her and you've put a complaint in about her. I did a complaint to head office, but I realized at that point I shouldn't have done that. And when I was complaining to the gentleman from head office, I started to cry. He goes, "Why are you crying?" I said, "Because I don't want her to come after me." I said, "I only have another 2 years to work and then I'm retiring. I'm leaving this country. I just want to do my job and just be left alone." So I thought maybe he would honor my request. And I said, "Just ignore it." I said, I'm fine. I'll deal with it. So my cardiologist I had to go every 3 months because everything kept getting worse and more medication and worse and worse. So then my boss found out that I had put a complaint in. She came after me like a till of the Hun. She, she was brutal. And this is where I say to you guys, this girl she couldn't tell the truth if her life depended on it. She lied through her teeth in a meeting with me. And when I proved her wrong and I showed her, and she got really mad and she said, pardon my language, "Get the F out of my office." And she slammed the door. And I thought I was okay at that point. I really truly thought, no, you know what? Looks good on you, you smug little witch. But then what happened next? It was like an overload. Um, I went to drive home. I had called my husband, and I was in such a state. I didn't realize I shouldn't have been driving. I drove through a red light. Um, my husband heard the horns honking, and he said, "What? Pull over in the gas station. We're 15 minutes behind. Get Pull over. You're not driving." Because I was crying hysterical like a little girl. So then my husband didn't want me to go back to work. I thought, you know what? No friggin' 30-year-old's going to push me out of my job. Fuck that, I thought. I've been there almost 40 years. I've been there longer than she's been alive. She's not doing this to me. So then that happened on Friday. So Monday morning, I told my husband, said, "You're taking a leave, right? You're leaving. You're not going back, right?" Because he knows the family history. He's he's been with me for 40 years. He knows that my parents they died early. My sisters died early. Um, I said, "Okay." I lied to him. I thought, no, I'm going to go to work. So after they left for work, I'm getting myself up, I'm getting dressed. And it was like a panic attack. I was almost at work and there was a park there. And I had to pull over because I felt like my heart was coming out of my chest. I felt like my brain was ready to explode. And I started crying and banging the steering wheel. And then it got to the point where I didn't realize there was a gentleman walking his dog. He came over to me. I had my window open and my sunroof open. And he says, "Ma'am," he says, "I can't let you drive." And I said, "I'm okay. I'm okay now." I composed myself, "I'm going to work." He says, "Ma'am, the way you are right now," he says, "I'm either calling the police or you call your family to come get you. You cannot drive." So I called my other son who um, has a job where he's able to leave if something comes up. And he reamed me out royally on the way home. Had to tell my husband, "You and our other son will have to pick up my car," about why I went to work. So I stayed off. And guys, in about 2 months after that, I had another cardiologist appointment. And the cardiologist said, "Wow, you look better." He said, "You don't look so ragged. What's going on?" And I said, "I'm not at work." He said, "Wow." He said, "Well, let's do another test." So I had to wear the halter for 2 weeks, and then he called me back to his office. And now I've been off for almost 6 months. And I still fought with myself every day. Every day, I wanted to go back to work. My doctor didn't want me to go back to work. My husband was against me going back to work. My kids were like, "You're not freaking working, mom." I fought with myself every single day, guys. And then I had the cardiologist appointment the 6 month after I was off. And normally we did Zoom meetings, but this one he wanted to be in person with me. And I have to tell you guys, when he told me that that first incident that happened saved my life, it was the best thing that happened back like a year and a half earlier when I had to start the medication. He said, because most people with PVCs don't know they have them, and they usually end up with a bad case of AFib and die. Um, he told me I was probably 6 months away because the my PVCs at that point were at a 15% to where even if I had went, and that's with medication, guys. I don't even want to think of what my PVCs would have been at without the medication. He told me that he cannot allow me to go back to work. Um, he said, you would have been dead. So, guys, I really didn't think I was that bad. I really, up to the day before that meeting with him, I was like, okay, I'm due for a new doctor's note in, I think it was a week after that. I'm going to go back to work. I'm going to tell my doctor I want to try. But when he told me that, oh, the other good thing, guys, he weaned me off my medication. My PVCs are totally gone now. I'm on no medication. And he said, my whole issue was work related. It was stress related. And I really didn't think I was under that much stress, guys. So if you guys can take anything from this, you got to listen to your body. If something doesn't feel right, and if you feel like, oh my God, I got another 2 years to work, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. But if you're feeling like that every day, can you imagine what that is doing to you inside? Not only your brain, your heart, everything, your whole body. Stress is a killer, guys. Um, I'm still fighting with myself about being off work. I feel guilty because I've been a person who's worked 2 and 3 jobs their entire life. I've never worked under 65 hours a week. And my husband still works. We are retiring next year. Our house will be done next spring in Dominican, and I'm leaving. But don't let your job kill you, guys. Too many of us drop dead, and especially like men are. They call it the widow maker, where all of a sudden they just keel over, right? But with women, we are too stubborn to listen to our bodies, and that is what all of a sudden they drop dead. That you got to listen to your body. Don't let your work dictate how you're going to die, because that's what was happening to me. Um, Guys, like if you're stressed at work, get a different job if you can. I know, and I know with me, I couldn't think like that because I had dedicated almost 40 years of my life to this place. I I was an injured worker. I couldn't be a PSW anymore, so I had to be a manager, but it almost killed me. Guys, if you take anything from this, listen to your body. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, and I would love for you guys to subscribe. I appreciate the few subscribers I have. It means a lot to me. But I have so much information and knowledge that I'd like to share with you guys. And please be kind to yourself and be kind to your body. You only get one life to live. Okay? Have a great day. Take care now.